Yes, yes, yes. It is a Castworthy podcast, and we are back. I am Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed, on the Twitter machine, joined today by EJ the Savage and the VP of Research. It is Sunday, May 28th, Memorial Day weekend. Salute to soldiers, lost soldiers. Um, Salute to you, VP, even though you weren't lost. Um, all these years, I thought Memorial Day was a celebration of America, and I've been wearing red, white, and blue, and this big American flag hoodie and shirt and stuff, and just realized that's not what it is. That is the 4th of July. So, but now I know, and I don't know what you're supposed to wear. Do you wear should I wear camo today? Is that or this weekend? Is that what you should do to kind of celebrate fallen soldiers? You're muted. Your mouth's moving, but nothing's coming out.
I don't. I don't think you need to wear anything to quote unquote celebrate. It's just remembering those who made the ultimate sacrifice for the country. So people often fuse, usually on Veterans Day, people are like, "Hey, man, thank you for your service," Whereas Memorial Day is to honor those who've fallen. The 4th of July is to honor the independence of the country, and then Veterans Day is for veterans. But
How,
it.
why do we barbecue on Memorial Day?
I think it's one of it's.
It's like drinking on Ireland Day, or what is that, St. Patrick's Day?
I think in the United States that we take a lot of what we have for granted. So the further that we're removed from like anything, whether it's a struggle, an event, we tend to forget, right? And so, like even now, you know what I mean? Like Martin Luther King Day is still sacred, right? We're probably 5-10 years out from, people like, man, I can't wait till Martin Luther King, man, have sell on mattresses, you know. So it's like I think it was Chris Rock who was like, pretty soon they're gonna be like, come down to Mattress Farm. These mattresses are almost free at last, and that's just gonna be the thing because
Built for a
you know
king.
I mean, we tend to take what we have for granted, which is why you see people, the lessons we've learned from, like World War II. And now you're starting to see like all this fascism rise in the United States with people like DeSantis and Trump and, the Republican Party at large, it's just the further we get removed, the more we forget,
Gotcha.
in my opinion.
Well, shout out to those that were lost in duty, however that's supposed to be phrased.
In
But
the
shout out
line
to
of
them
duty.
in the line of duty. That's right. Castaway Podcast, where we can be found everywhere, basically Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you Google Cast Space Worthy, CAST Space WORTHY, you'll find us. We are streaming anywhere where you can get podcasts. Probably the most notable ones are Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart. Those are the three that you probably have on your phone right now. Spreaker, YouTube, of course. If you want to see the facial expressions and the weird shit that we do on camera. Um, have you gentlemen had great weeks? How have your weeks been this week? It's the end of National Mental Health Month. You guys been taking care of your mental health, having great weeks, or what?
Been a pretty good week. Pretty short week with the holiday and stuff like that. Had some eventful things. I got to see the pre-screening for the new Flash movie coming out next month.
That looks good.
So, yeah, it was. I mean, the effects wasn't the final cut, and it's missing like 20 or 30 minutes from what I saw. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to be received with the general Marvel public, but I think it's a fun film. So I think in that regard, people will love the fun comedy aspect of it. Um, but I don't know. I think a lot of people that are really into the comics will really like it and what it sets up and establishes. So you have James Gunn, who was the brainchild behind the Guardians of the Galaxy success. He's now at the helm of the DC universe. So this had a little bit of his spin on it. It had a lot of what Zack Snyder did, but James Gunn came in and added a lot of reshoots and stuff like that. With the two directors that they have that created the film, two brothers, brother and sister rather. So it was pretty good. It was pretty good, and I was also able to see the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, which was also pretty good as well. So
Did you see
yeah.
it, Gary?
No.
Gary? Okay. Well, you waited too long. We can tell you Quill dies. So go watch it now. Spoiler alert. It's been a month. I'm upset about the Flash movie that in the previews they show Michael Keaton. I thought that like that would be something you hold. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Nah,
don't know.
it's been that's been leaked for so long it didn't matter at this point.
Hmm.
It was leaked like forever ago. So I mean, because we were supposed to get this film some time now. It's been like 4 years, but Ezra Miller was wilding out here, uh, just
Oh,
doing
that's
whatever.
right. He was on some Jonathan Major shit, wasn't he?
Nah, he was worse than Jonathan Majors. He was out here stalking, harassing people, just wilding, arrest after
Wow.
arrest after arrest.
And
So
he's back. So
yeah, I mean they
Seen
had no
that, but I
choice.
mean, over the years, man, we've seen them continue to spoil movies like in the trailers, in the posters. Like
you see,
remember that movie with Will Smith, Gemini Man, and where
mm,
you see the preview and it's like he's fighting a younger version of himself, and then you have to wait until I think it was like almost the 50-minute mark of the movie to when it happens, and they build like the movie's building it up to be like this big scene for people to have like this gasp, like oh my goodness moment, and nobody is shocked. Anybody who's seen the preview or the poster for the movie isn't the only way you're shocked by this is if you went in blind. You did, hey honey, let's go to the movies. Oh, look, it's a Will Smith movie. Let's check that out. You know, and
Yeah,
and and other than that, you're not going to be shocked or whatever. It's not like, I always tell people. I remember. I think for me personally, I think one of the things that made I told you guys the Matrix is like one of my favorite movies. The first one, right? The other two kind of they kind of lost the plot, but the first
yeah.
one to me is one of the best movies I've ever seen. And I remember, when I was a kid and they were showing the trailers on TV, it would just have that scene where it's like Trinity and she's like, "What is the Matrix?" And it's like Matrix, June 5th or whenever it was it came out, right? Because it was a summer blockbuster. And I remember going into it thinking like, "What is the Matrix? I want to see this." Like I feel like they're not telling me enough. And I went in and I was just amazed by what I saw. And I've since
Mhm.
then, I've probably seen the Matrix 30 or 40 times. You know what I mean?
Do you know
And
what it is now?
what's that?
Do you know what it is now after the 30 times?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. But the point is that I went in blind, and then everything that they set up to be kind of like the gasp, like oh my god, kind of moments, all of those hit because it wasn't spoiled for me in the trailers. You know what I'm saying? And they don't do that now. They,
yeah.
like you just said, Quill died.
Somewhere in recent history, they've been showing too much, but it all depends on the studio and the director. Honestly, but it has happened a lot more recently than not. So I'd agree with you on that one for sure. But the Flash, I don't know. I mean, it again, it's gonna be fun film to watch. I probably wouldn't rate it higher than an 8 right now, just because it was a lot of stuff left out. But I don't know how people are gonna react to it because you have to kind of know what's going on. I think they try to do a good job of making you understand what's going on with the Flash, but you kind of have to know what's going on to a degree.
I
So
don't,
I
I don't
don't
agree
know.
with that.
No, I'm saying for
the
this
reason
movie, you didn't see it.
well, no, the reason I've seen the trailer, right? The movie hasn't come out yet. It's only the trailer, right?
I know. I'm saying for the movie, you got to kind of understand the Flash a little bit. Like I think they could have maybe done for this to be his intro solo joint. Although he's appeared in other elements, if you haven't seen those other movies or you're not a Flash fan, you might not really understand what is actually happening. So
Well,
I
this
think
isn't the first solo Flash movie. They've already done one.
I think with the Flash, the
in this
big thing
universe,
is
they haven't.
Well, I don't know about the universe thing, but I'm saying they've already done a solo Flash movie. That was the one where when
I don't
Flash
think I
goes.
ever saw that. That was a long time ago, though, right?
Yeah, they did the joint. Was that a Flash or was that Justice
Negro,
League?
what is you talking about? They have not
Well,
done a
the movie
solo
where
Flash
he's like
movie.
the movie where he's like a dog sitter, and then he goes to see his father, and he's like writing on the dude's face, and the guy doesn't know.
Yeah, that's not the that's they haven't had a solo. This is the first solo Flash movie of this DC universe.
Okay, my bad. I thought that was a
Anything
solo
else would
Flash.
have been super old. Now they've had the Flash show on the CW for
No,
like
no,
the
I got
last
you. I thought because I
1,000
think that was
years.
Justice League. I think they spent like a lot of time, kind of like giving each character some parts of the movie. So that might have just been Justice League.
It
But
was.
anyway, the point that I'm making is when I say I don't agree, like I look at the superhero movies, Marvel and DC,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like playing off each other. It seems like Marvel creates something and then DC creates their version of it, or DC creates something and then Marvel creates their version of it, right?
But but
And-
that's what I'm saying. If you don't understand the history of the comics, you're easily gonna fall into that, and it's not really the case. Like it's the case that is the case as far as the characters are in totality. Like
no, that's not where I was going though, EJ. So
I'm bringing it home with you though. I'm telling you,
no,
like you
I
kind
got you,
of
but I'm saying from a casual fan standpoint, it seems to me that DC is setting up their version of the multiverse, basically.
this
With
is what I was
Flash,
Yeah,
this is what I was just trying to tell you. It's gonna feel like that, but if you don't know the history, you're gonna
of
think
the
that
Flash.
when DC actually was the only comic verse that really played on that beforehand. Like that was a DC thing that Marvel actually really got into solely for the purpose of really getting those properties back in place. Because remember, they did 15 years without the X-Men, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So while there have been comic versions of different universes and stuff, DC was more the one that had multi Earths and multi things like this, and it's mainly because of the Flash. So that's why I'm like, if you don't know it, you're not gonna.
Yeah, I think everyone just knows the Flash to be fast. Like if you never, I think to EJ's point, if you never knew the true backstory, you've never read a comic, or he's never been in a comic book that you might have read about, you're not, and people aren't aware of his you know his usefulness, right? His use cause. Um, then you think he's just a fast guy. Like his superpower is just being fast, and this dude could just run around people and shit. But I think it sounds like you're getting a little bit of that in this movie, and EJ is saying that it doesn't appear like they're giving us enough for you to truly understand all of it.
Yeah,
But
yep. That's how I felt. Like, I mean, I think they do a decent job, but I just think, to VP's earlier point with his earlier appearances, they probably could have did a better job of trying to insert that in there. But again, you got two different people that was running this thing, so it's terrible.
the thing about kind of going back just real quick, I think what these people need to start doing, like DC, Marvel, and any of them, when they're gonna have these features of people, right? Like the Michael Keaton, and when they did the different Spider-Mans and shit, just don't put out the cast and crew on fucking IMDb until the movie releases. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what's happening. The cast and crew comes out a year before the movie's in the making, and now you're gonna see him, right? Like if I see Michael Keaton in there, then I know why he's there. He's not playing a
Mhm.
fucking background guy. You know what I'm saying? That's probably how they can fix this shit.
yeah.
Yeah,
Somehow.
They also just had, this was just one of those things again because of the time lapse. This dude Ezra Miller out here wilding, those thirsty fans, like those investigative fans that just gotta know. They were like on set, with the film, with the pictures and all of
Mhm.
that. So we seen it years ago. So it was kind of like the cat's out the bag.
Yeah, I mean, technology kind of, takes away. Like that's just like with Game of Thrones, and I mean, and I'm pretty sure everybody does it. I personally first started hearing about it during Game of Thrones when they would film dummy scenes because they knew, okay, even though they're filming in like remote locations in Spain and places like that, that you would have people like they filmed, I think it was something like three different versions of that scene of John on the beach when he sees Theon for the first time
Yeah.
after everything went down, and they filmed like multiple different versions of that scene because there were people who were out in the water on boats who were like past the little zone they set up with these like telephonic camera lenses that could see, a couple thousand feet out, etc., and snapping pictures. So they filmed multiple versions of that, so that way people couldn't leak what happened. But you see it, and people say, okay, based on what I'm seeing, I'm thinking X is
This
happening.
nigga, yeah, this nigga not dead, right?
Right?
Like shit like that. Shout out to Chris. He says that Flash is probably one of the most powerful of all DC heroes. And EJ, you're probably best to speak to that, your opinion of that. You
No,
think that's
it's
true?
it's definitely true. He's one of the oldest, of the comics, as DC was pre Marvel. But yeah, I mean they kind of touch on it in this film. You kind of get an instance of it. Um, but it's still, a raw point in his timeline. But yeah, if you ever really ever followed it, for a fact, this dude is like that. It's just, it's
Why they couldn't have like Jack Black play Flash? They would try to make it seem like fat people can't be fast. I don't like that, yo. I don't like that. I'm against that. I'm
Yo,
about to
that's
I'm about to
crazy.
start something on the internet, like that chick that couldn't walk through the the airport seat. Did you see that shit? The big
No.
bitch that couldn't make it to her seat on the airplane, and
Hey
she was
yo,
like, uh, American Airlines or United Airlines is discriminating against big people, but she was big, like like big. Like I'm big, she big. Like she, that big booty bitches. Like it was crazy. Anyway, if you didn't see it, you have to see it. Check it out.
you're wild.
Um, uh, yo, the Heat, man. What's up with Jimmy Butler? Don't ever say Jimmy Butler is Michael Jordan's son again. Not never.
Yo,
You could throw that shit out the window. That rumor, the conspiracy theory, nah, that ain't Michael Jordan's son. Maybe Michael Jordan slept with his mom, but Scottie Pippen probably had that baby, like
well,
that,
part.
or B.J. Armstrong.
So let me go on the Jordan aspect first, right? So part of the problem is that in the culture, it's that the conspiracy is that Jimmy Butler doesn't know who his father is, right? And that's not true. This dude knows who his dad is. His dad just abandoned them when he was a child.
He
When he
like Jesus Shuttlesworth.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So that's part of like how this rumor starts is that it starts off with something that's true, and then they like most conspiracy they twist it or whatever, and people who don't really look into it are like, man, I heard, whoop, 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 or whatever. But
Could be
Jimmy
true.
Butler,
It could be true. He could have left because he's like, this ain't my baby.
Right.
I mean, I guess you got a
I
point.
know I know Jordan was in there.
But so it starts there that Jimmy Butler knows who his father is. So it's just that the dad abandoned him when he was young, and then he had a bad
I agree. Jake was a good dad. I'm with you, Chris. But maybe because it was Denzel. Like if that role was played by anybody else, we probably would have hated Jake. We just love Denzel.
but yeah, man, but the last two games, I'll say for sure, I've come to the real. I have to believe Jimmy when he says it. When people keep asking him about playoff Jimmy, and he says it's not a thing because these last two games he's showing me it's not a thing. Like yo, like if Jimmy gets his not even his average, he's averaging 30 some points a game in the playoffs. If he just gets just under his average, we win that game. when he was shooting the 3 free throws to take the lead at the end of the fourth quarter, where everything was going down, they showed his stat line, and I literally said to the people in the room I'm watching, and I was like, "Damn, he has 22 points," because I didn't even realize he had that many points, because that's how ineffective he was, throughout the game. And I mean, there are all these moments you can be like, oh, Duncan Robinson missed these 3-pointers, Bam didn't play well, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But Jimmy's the star of the team. He's the guy who gets paid the most, all this kind of shit. And you expect him to come through in moments like this. And the shit is just, it's crazy, man.
The reality is Jimmy Butler is tired. he said racial Nichols. He's tired, man. I mean, he had to carry the Heat
Rachel Nichols
past
get
the
it
Knicks. Sure can. He had to carry the Heat past the Knicks. He came out this series going hard, and it's like what really wound up happening is Miami's B team that was contributing and giving them help throughout the playoffs, Boston kind of realized, hey, we're kind of better than these guys. We gotta play better than the Strus and Vincent and these guys that weren't even around a year ago. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy though to be up 3-0 and hey, you wanted Jason Tatum, you got him last night.
And here, I disagree with that.
For 3 quarters.
We got him in the first quarter.
Actually, for 2 quarters.
Yeah, got him in the first half.
He pulled a LeBron. We gonna get back to that guy
He only
too.
scored once in the second half. I mean, he scored in the second half, but it was all free throws. He only scored 1 field goal in the second half. Jason Tatum is not a star. I'm gonna down.
Imagine being in a closeout and putting up 31 in the first half and ending with 40.
Yeah, from the free throw line.
What kind of star does that?
Yeah,
LeBron.
I knew you were going with it.
But I think
hang out there.
But I think pause. I think the key though is EJ said it's the B team, right? The Heat team is a B team. Outside of Jimmy Butler and 2/3 of Bam every once in a while, right? But what's happening is Jimmy Butler is doing the LeBron thing, and he's letting that B team try to win these games, and that's not going to happen. Not against a Boston team who, when they get streaky, I think you've said it multiple times, VP, they get streaky, they're hot. Like they could go on a 8-game winning streak and then lose 16 in a row. And right now, it seems like they're on 3 of that 8 potential, or 3 or 4, however many it is. And y'all might let them make history. And of course, it would be par for the course because the Red Sox did it to my Yankees.
Patriots. Patriots coming back from the largest deficit in the Super Bowl win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, and part of the whole history thing too is that like this one, even like people are gonna always look at it and be like, no team is if Boston wins, right? They'll say, oh, no team never did it until Boston did it, boo 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 boo. But there's a difference is that most of those teams that were down 3-0 were always the underdog, whereas this time you got an overseed who was down 3-0, so they get the advantage of having Game 7 at their crib. You know what I mean? But regardless of that, man, like. These guys, I agree with you that Miami is a B team. And I said this last year during the finals that Jimmy has to, when you get in situations like this, he has to stop deferring. And it seems like Jimmy starts off saying, I'm going to let my guys get rolling, let them get into their rhythm because I can just flip the light switch at any point, which we saw last game in the third quarter. He took over. He had 13 in the third quarter. You know what I mean? And we saw that last night where most of the game, it's not like he wasn't taking shots. He just was off, and then like last 5 minutes, it's like, he was like, fuck that. Give me the ball. I'm going to get it. You know what I mean? And what I feel like Jimmy has to realize is that those guys who are B-role players feed off of him. So they need him to get going so they can like feed off his energy essentially. You know what I'm saying? And then to Chris's point about Jimmy being tired, that Steve echoed, I don't want to hear that shit because the whole thing was, oh, Jimmy chills in the regular season because in the playoffs it's different. Like Draymond said, you got 82 game players, you got 16 game players. Jimmy's a 16 game player. So in the regular season, the guy's averaging 22 points a game, and then the playoffs start, he's averaging 35. You know what I mean? So I don't want to hear that shit about he took the regular season off. He shouldn't be that goddamn
But
tired.
Jimmy didn't start going downhill till he started dating Shakira. Game 3, I think it was, that they spotted them together, and she was at the game, and they went on a shopping spree, and ever since,
it's always a woman. But
he deep
the
diving. That's what's happening.
yeah, the other thing,
That's why he tired.
the Heat have always done this though all year. I've said this because just watching them in the regular season, Jimmy takes off in these games and then he decides he wants to turn it up. The only difference is when those role players need to step up, they usually bring him something. And against the Knicks, this is why I was so pissed off as a team, because Thibodeau just, when we had the right matchups and we're out and we got a 20-point or 12-point lead, this dumbass decides, let me sit Obi Toppin and bring Julius Randle back in. So because we're an undisciplined and horribly coached team, we now make it super easy for the Heat to come back in the game. And you almost saw that last night with Boston in the third quarter when they started making all these fouls, missing shots. And at some point, Marcus Smart, who I think it's always been an X factor for this team, and if he does this more, they'll see more success. He was like, nah, fuck that. I'm not letting y'all ruin this shit. Give me the ball. I'm gonna handle this. And that's really what it is. And I credit Spoelstra to a degree because he's coaching with the B squad. And all it takes for that team is for you to give up a little bit and they're gonna take a lot. And that was the Knicks' problem. We kept making it easier for them to beat us rather than beat them. So you had the Struces and the Vincents killing us because we just got it all out of whack. And that's why I say our loss was completely on the coaching and not the talent. We had more talent. It was just horrible coaching. So I think in this instance, Boston has battled back, and Jimmy was dependent on these guys that really shouldn't be dependent on, to VP's point.
I hear you, EJ, but I think also part of the problem is, and you've been saying this for years, and I've been shooting these motherfuckers bell. The officiating throughout the playoffs has been atrocious. You know what I mean? And last night in that game, I said this in the chat last night to you guys, and I say this all the time. I don't care about officiating when they're calling the same both ways. Like when that game first started, even Reggie Miller and Stan Van was pointing it out. He was like, "Yo, they letting them play." There was shit where Jimmy Butler's on the floor, Tatum's on the floor, and the refs are like, "Yo, like next possession, like play ball." You know what I'm saying? And it was like, "Okay, let them play." Then it seems like the refs tightened up, but only tightened up on one end. You know what I mean? And then to your Marcus Smart point, there's points at the game where when we get in that fourth quarter, when they call that foul on that and one for Marcus Smart, where he scores over Duncan Robinson, he literally hooks Duncan Robinson and then goes up for the shot, and he's like, "Hey!" And the ref calls the foul on Duncan Robinson. And that shit was under 2 minutes, and I'm like, wait, I thought under 2 minutes they can review shit if they need to, and here the refs just let that shit go or whatever. The same thing with
you had that 4 points other one that was a 4-point swing where they gave them the goaltend on the Jaylen Brown.
They gave them a goaltend on Jaylen Brown, then they called the tech on Bam, and then Jaylen Brown got the free throw.
Yeah, so that was a 4-point swing in a game where Miami had just taken the lead by 3, so they went down 1 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And then also you look at the end of the game when Jimmy shoots the 3 free throws. The refs blow the whistle, and when they blow the whistle, it's 2.1 seconds on the clock. They go review it, and then they come back and they make the clock 3 seconds. That 0.9 seconds is the putback for White.
Now you're reaching, because I saw some screenshots where when Jimmy went into his gather, it was 3 seconds. Like,
but
if you
I do one better for you guys. In the third quarter, it was a play down the stretch. It was two plays where Jimmy goes up, he gets fouled, and it was a shot, but they called it a non-shooting foul.
Yep.
There was a couple of those.
Another one, he went up again and got mauled, and they called it a non-shooting foul.
They said he was passing. Yeah,
I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
So the officiating's bad, but I think we've talked about it all throughout the playoffs. The coaching is bad too. and this is all of them. This is the Boston coach. I think he's ass anyway. He's terrible. Ham is trash. Spoelstra's done great up until it seems like these recent games, and most recently this game. Like the game is so close, and these guys are coming down, and you got these guys just throwing up threes in the third quarter when Boston is in the penalty. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You need to tell your guys, go to the fucking hole. Fourth quarter, similarly, go to the hole. What are you doing shooting threes? I know Duncan Robinson got hot for a stretch there, but there's a reason he was sitting on the bench and didn't start the game. There's a reason he hasn't been starting all year. Like, you
No,
have to control that.
you're absolutely right. In the third quarter, we had them in the penalty with 8 minutes to go in the third, and we're jacking up
Word.
threes. Not only do we have them in the penalty with 8 minutes to go in the third, Jaylen Brown got 4 fouls.
He was
You know
out.
what I mean? And even
Right.
Stan Van kept saying, "Yo, why aren't they doing the pick and roll with Jaylen Brown's defender to get Jaylen Brown on the ball? Because either you're going to get a nice clean shot, or you're going to potentially get a chance to get him with a fifth foul."
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so I definitely agree with you there. Spo definitely fucked up in that situation. I also thought at the end of the game, for the last possession where they lose the game, I thought, and this is something that we see throughout the history of basketball. They come out of that timeout and they advance the ball, and you usually see the defensive team let them get into their set, and then they call their last timeout. So that way the coach can say, okay, this is what it looks like they're going to try to do. Boo, 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 boo. He draws up his defense or whatever. And, we didn't do that. And
that's the difference between like a Hall of Fame coach and a great analyst, which like Spoelstra is like a really, really good analyst and tape guy. But like a Hall of Fame coach would have called a timeout. They would have put a big man, like the biggest man you got on your team should have been standing in front of little ass Derek White. There's no reason he should be able to get a clean ass pass off to whoever comes off of the screen. In this case, where they got all their shooters in the game, and then not get boxed out down low or stopped from coming from the baseline to go get the rebound. Like,
yeah,
the Heat gave that away, man. That was the Heat's game to win, and because of that, they probably gonna lose. Boston is a tough game.
I agree with that. That I think they're thinking if I think they're thinking on the inbound was, instead of defending the inbound, if you let everybody else defend, you have 5-on-4 basically, because whoever he inbounds it to, because there's only 3 seconds on the clock, there's not going to be enough time to inbound and then get it back to White to get off a shot. So it's going to be whoever touches it has to jack up a shot from wherever they touch it at. So it was like, let's go 5-on-4 and leave the inbounder free.
But that was.
But you force him in. You got to force him into the backcourt. That's the key.
Because the way he got where he got it at, Jaylen Brown, that would have went down. That was in and out.
Well, that was Marcus Smart.
Yeah, Marcus Smart rather. Yeah, I mean that was in and out. That joint was going down. It was too clean, way too clean. Plus, where it was damn near gimme.
Yeah,
listen, I don't think it matters who wins this game. They not beating Denver. Game 7, whoever wins this game, I don't think it matters. Like, Denver is a team possessed. It's a well-oiled machine. I told y'all, Jokic coming into this playoffs looked like, to me, the Russian in Rocky. Like, he is powerless, running in the snow in Serbia. Like, this dude, it's crazy. And then, again, bad coaching. Darvin Ham, and granted, they probably weren't going to, beat history either, the Lakers, because they just don't have the talent to do it. But you got AD who's shooting jump shots, who's not boxing out. Jokic got 4 fouls. What are you doing? Like, this is your, and even if AD is too soft, because he's soft as shit right now, he's soft as baby shit, you could give the ball to anybody else, and just say, yo, go straight at Jokic. And he's either going to let you score or he's going to have to foul you. And then you sit him down, and now you change the pace of that game completely.
And it still wouldn't have mattered because they asses wouldn't have won game 5. But, and like I was giving this dude Jamal Murray his props. This dude Jamal Murray came out, got that quick 31. They had no answer for this dude. And I don't think he gets credit for his perimeter defense. He's being put out there on whoever you got on the perimeter, and he's playing them.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I think Denver, I mean, it's theirs to lose. I think the only way they don't win is if Murray and the Joker come down with some kind of injury, and even that,
or
because
COVID.
I don't see Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum getting past Jamal Murray. I mean, he's going to lock either one of them down because they have not showed up, and he's shown that he can get on a Devin Booker, he can switch off to KD. I mean, that kid is
Yeah,
playing. Not to mention, the
KCP.
KCP and Gordon.
Yeah,
So I mean,
and Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown is playing good D too. Pause.
yep.
You know, for I agree with you guys, right? I mean, obviously, if the Heat go to the finals, I'm rooting for the
You
Heat,
want them to win, but
right?
the reality is going to
But
be tough. It's going to be hard.
yeah, it'll be hard. But also, I think my cousin has been saying this for a couple of years, and I've been like, nah, dog, like you tripping, blah blah blah. My cousin keeps saying we got to blow up the team for Miami. And I don't think blow it up, but Kyle Lowry got to go. And I think we got like Bam can't be our second option. He is too inconsistent. This dude, I've been saying this shit all season with you guys. Anytime we talk basketball, Bam, he disappears. It's like what do you have
You,
last night? 13 points. You know what I mean?
I,
He just disappears for long periods of time. It's not like he disappears in a game and it's like, oh man, in the first half, Bam kind of didn't do shit. In the second half, he must have drank something at the halftime because this dude disappears for games at a time, and we can't. That shit is not sustainable.
I think your old point about Bam is probably more realistic. He's small. He's a 6'9" guy, and you're putting him in there as a star, and as a center. And what's happening with Bam is he don't know how to play with his back to the basket. So
Mm-mm.
he'll bump once, and once they push him out a little bit, he picks up his dribble, and now he tries to throw a skyhook or some wild ass shit. Versus bumping once, bumping again, trying to make a move, use your footwork to get open or get fouled. That's the problem. This guy's too small, and he's getting bullied down low and bullied by guys like Robert Williams and so on, right? So you need a bigger guy to put at the 5 so he could play at the 4 and he could play against guys that are 6'9", 6'10", his size versus these 7-foot guys or these big bulky guys like a Robert Williams.
But I think also I don't think there's a problem with Bam playing at the 5, right? The problem is that Bam is a 6'9" guy playing a 5, but it's like he thinks he's a 5, right? And what I mean is like they got Robert Williams guarding Bam on the perimeter. Bam got handles. You know what I mean? Like, yo, take this motherfucker off the dribble. Use your speed. Use your speed to get by him and then let him foul you, like you just said, Steve. You know what I mean? But it's like he thinks, oh, they got Robert Williams, so I got to get down low and bang against this dude like I'm Shaq or some shit. And it's like, that's not your game, dude.
Well, it's worked for him versus less athletic big men like Mitchell Robinson. He's kind of got the better in that regard. So I think it's a style, versus a matchup kind of thing. Like, who are you playing against, and how do you now have to play them? And also, the Victor Oladipo injury was really huge for y'all.
Significant, yeah.
Really huge, because that's a scorer who plays both ways on the ball, offense and defense, and he's one of those guys that'll go get you some buckets. So I mean, you guys, I don't know, you guys,
If I'm
you got some work.
Spoelstra, Game 7, I'm telling Tyler Hero, get his Zoolander ass off the bench. It ain't about looking pretty. You're going to have to find a way to get out there and put some buckets in, because they're saying that he could potentially play in the finals if y'all get there. What's one game? Like, this is a Game 7 to get you to the finals. Dog, I need you out here. I need you to give me 5 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever it is. Be a decoy, because they got to D you, because you can shoot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm Spoelstra guy. He got to do something different, because it's starting to look the same. And Boston has figured it out. You're going into a hostile environment. It's going to
That's
be
going
tough to win
crazy.
in Boston. It's going to be
I hear
really,
you on
really
Tyler
tough.
Hero. I just disagree though, just because of the Heat's problem is that with all the injuries, like y'all said, Oladipo, Hero, etc., the problem is a lack of scoring, right? And so, you put in Tyler Hero as a decoy. That's the reason Kevin Love didn't play last night. It was like, yo, we
But
got
he
Kevin.
can shoot. Hero
Huh?
can shoot. Hero can
Right.
shoot. So if he can move right at all, then you could set plays. Spoelstra is better than these other coaches. I said it last time. He can draw up plays. That's the difference between him and Ham, or him and Boston's coach. I don't even know the guy's name because he shouldn't be a coach. Like, he can draw plays up. He should be able to draw a motion play to where Hero can get open in the corner. He could get open on the wing. And this guy should be able to knock down a couple shots. If he gets y'all 8 points, 10 points in some critical time, then it's worth it. You know what I'm saying? But otherwise, you're going to have guys out there. Caleb Martin's flame is going to go out. He's a candle, right? But that flame about to go out because he's playing great, but he's playing way beyond his potential. Like
I disagree on Caleb Martin. Like I agree with you. Like if you make that point about Gabe Vincent or like Duncan Rhyme, I'm like, okay, but not Caleb Martin. Like Caleb Martin, of those guys who they always talk about the undrafted, like Struce, Vincent, all those guys. Caleb Martin is the one that's been like the most consistent for us. Whenever he
he
comes in,
has. But what I'm saying
he
is he's not going to do the 24s, the 25s, the 27s, especially in a game 7 on the road for a guy who's coming from Charlotte. He wasn't even in the league because they cut him. Like, this guy should be giving you maybe 16 while he's hot. He's getting y'all 24, 26. And I don't think that happens in game 7. Like, I think that candle's going to burn out and it's going to be a tough matchup. Jimmy's going to have to do something. He's going to have to do something.
That's
To Steve's
the
point, though,
the first and
to,
end. The beginning and the end is Jimmy.
to Steve's point, though, if you're Spoelstra, there is no game 7. You know, there is no tomorrow. We're in Miami. This is to close these dudes out. We're the improbable 8th seed. We're trying to be the second team in history to take this 8th seed to the finals. Yo, get in there. Get in there. All bets are off. There is no game 7.
Who you guys got before we move on?
I got the Heat, man.
Not with your fan heart.
I'm gonna have to live with Boston. I mean, I could still see Miami winning, you know, because we don't know what Tatum or what Jaylen Brown is gonna come out. But the other crazy part about that, they're both due for an incredible game. Like Tatum had a great first half, to y'all point, but you know he's also capable of doing some work in the fourth quarter. We've seen it against Philly. Granted, it was Philly. Jaylen Brown, who has been a consistent, you know, killer for this team, even though he's been getting 20, he still hasn't been getting a good, you know, games worth of scoring.
Brown is injured. I think they're not telling us something's wrong.
I think so too.
Jaylen?
Yeah, something's wrong with Brown.
I think so too. Yes, but again, game 7
braids are too tight.
game 7 in TD Garden, that's gonna be tough, man.
It's gonna be big, man. And I think what happens with Boston too is they might get Brogdon back next game, which that's another scorer, that's another defender for them. Miami don't got nothing to bring back. They're coming to the fight with the same dull knife that they've been playing with for 3 series now. And Jimmy Butler needs to go lay down and do whatever it takes for him to get all the energy he can, because he can't be tired this game. There's no way he can be tired. He's gonna have to play 41, 42 minutes, 43, 47 minutes. He's gonna have to play
like 47 minutes.
Yeah, he's gonna have to play and he's gonna have to, like, he started in game 3 on Tatum, and after Tatum started cooking him, they started switching off and putting Caleb Martin, and Caleb Martin can't play defense. Yeah. This guy is not a defensive guy. You know what I mean? He's got quicker feet, so he can kind of stay in front of him. But Jason Tatum is a master flopper. He has taken that away from LeBron James. Like, that title goes to Jason Tatum. He is making light-skinned niggas look soft out there because he's flopped more than anybody.
He's been that way. He's been that way. Like that. This is why the NFL is always going to be greater than the NBA, because the officiating, the flopping, the crying, the inconsistency, it's just nasty. Like, you know, VP was complaining about the officials, and I agree, especially on a lot of those plays. But even going back to the Knicks series, it was going on there. It happened all year round, and I just never can understand how it just happens like this.
Sports betting, man. I've been telling y'all for 2 years now that sports betting is huge, and it's a real thing.
Let me ask y'all one.
How much was the, I don't know what it was, and this is a hypothetical question, but think in the back of your head what the odds probably were on a Boston 4-0 sweep. And if you're the guy that's going to be officiating one of those games, oh my God, forget it. Put it all out there.
Let me ask you
if you're Adam Silver, put everything out there.
that offensive foul on Jimmy against Derek White when Jimmy's just naturally pulling up for a jumper, and he called him
Oh,
for an
that they called
offensive.
a flagrant. Oh no, they
Yeah,
kept it the same.
they reviewed it for a flagrant, but they left it the
Yeah,
same. How the fuck was that an offensive foul?
nah, that was a foul. That was a foul.
How?
It's a
He's
foul.
defending Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler goes. It's not like he did anything unnatural. He went up in his natural shooting rhythm.
Yeah, but when you're in, he hit him in the face. Like you get hit in the face. That's a foul. That's a foul. I don't think it was a flagrant because of, like you said, the natural shooting. It wasn't a flagrant, but it's a foul. This guy, listen, it's just like landing, right? There's airspace, and we're both entitled to it. You can't just go up in that airspace and knock me out. It's a foul.
But those two foul calls that they called non-shooting fouls was beyond me. Like that was
There was a
beyond
couple
me.
there that was no good.
Or what about the call, EJ, when not the two shooting fouls you call, right? Okay, that was in real time, even though I disagree with them, right? Maybe it's in real time, maybe the refs get together, whatever. What about the Jaylen Brown foul that Spo challenges, meaning that they get to actually go back and take their time, look at it, and they come back and say, "Oh, well, yeah, they were right. That wasn't a foul, but the contact by Jaylen Brown was minimal, so the basket still counts."
Yeah.
I mean, but y'all were getting that shit versus us. Y'all were getting off versus us. I mean, that's the thing about the NBA. The officiating consistently sucks.
Yeah, they've made it with all these reviews and shit so much gray, right? Versus black and white, that now you have that situation. And because we never see it and they're under so much scrutiny, they're like, damn, which way do we go? Do we give this guy the foul? Do we not give him the foul? You know what? Let's not give either one of them a foul. And let's just call it basket. Like it's just stupid shit like that. Or we're reviewing and now it's goaltending. Or we're reviewing and he wasn't shooting. Like these are, I don't know. They need to. Maybe it shouldn't be these guys that are courtside that are scared for their lives to get out of there. Maybe there needs to be a review center, and anytime there's a challenge, maybe people in the center, specialists that do this all day every day should be looking at it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
mean, they'll argue. Their argument always is going to be, if you're reviewing plays, it slows the game down, right? And I disagree with that, because college football has disproven that rule. Because in college, every single play is reviewable, right? And they have like, to Steve's point, they have a review center at the game that is reviewing every single play, and they buzz down to the refs and say, "Hey, we got to take a look at that one." It's not happening. It don't happen all game. Like most of the time, the refs got it right, but there's times where the review center buzzes down and say, "Hey, we need to get another look at that."
But the
don't look like what it was called on the field.
difference with the NBA though, that makes it the problem. And if you go back to the Knicks series, there were times they were reviewing joints, and it was taking like 5 minutes for something that you can see clearly is happening. And that's why I've always said NBA officiating is the worst and the easiest sport, because most of all the action you can see more clearly versus 11 on 11. The ball, you can't tell if it's a catch, between 300 pounders, and you know what I'm saying? The NBA, it's clear as day. You can see the ball. Only time you really have discrepancies really should be on who touched the ball last. That should really be it.
But the difference though, EJ, is that we're basing the reviews off of how they do them now. In the NBA, it is the guy, the refs on the court that are reviewing, right? And then they're talking to New York and shit like that.
Yeah, they take like 6 minutes. What I'm saying is they take like 6 minutes.
The point
take
that I'm
way
making
too long.
is, in college football, there are people in the review center at the stadium who are reviewing the play, and all they're doing is telling the official on the field, this is what the call is. You know what I mean?
Get it. I get it.
So by the time the ref blows the whistle saying the previous play is on the review, the replay center is already looking at it.
I get it.
So when they put the headphones on, they tell him bloop, 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 and then
you're talking about the process, but the process as it currently is, to your point, in the NBA makes it slower. So to your point, it could be faster, but because of what you're actually explaining is why it's actually slower. Because they're those three guys are sitting there looking stupid as shit for something simple that especially if New York just buzzed it down, they'd have been all right. But that, to your point, that's exactly why it's slower until they
Yeah.
change it.
Yeah, they gotta figure something out. They said they're talking about giving that second challenge or
If
third
the
challenge or
first is
whatever.
successful.
Yeah, if your first one's successful like the NFL does. But they gotta figure something out like that. Um real quick,
Wow.
real quick before we move on from basketball, y'all think LeBron's coming back?
Yeah.
Mm, I think he will. I don't think he can. I don't think he has it in him to walk away. I think he still wants to chase another ring. And I think he's playing mental warfare as he usually does. Telling LA,
Typical LeBron.
yeah,
Woe
I
is
don't think
me.
I'm coming back. Now we gonna get Trey Young. Oh, I'm back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It,
I
it's
think
all
it's coming
it's
back.
all a negotiating leverage for LeBron.
It,
He's telling the Lakers, if you want me back, you need to improve the roster.
it,
And I don't know if he's telling them to do something with AD. Maybe he's not being that blatant, but he's telling them they need to do something if they want him to come back. Because you said it, I've said it multiple times on the pod, Steve, that even though LeBron has been in the league 20 years, he's going to be 39 years old next year, etc. He's still a super old dude in the league that's giving you 22 to 25 points a night. And then there are a couple of games at least in the playoffs where he can go out and get you plus 30. You know what I'm saying? And so, you gotta still roll with that. You know what I mean? Because there's really nobody else on your roster who can do that for you. You can't depend on AD. So if you want him to stay, you got to go and improve your roster. And I think that they'll do it.
I think you're right. LeBron's playing mental warfare. I also think that LeBron um, figured a way for people to stop criticizing that Lakers sweep. Change people's minds, change the talking heads minds from Lakers got swept, change the Bron versus Jordan conversations to does Bron retire. And I think that's what he did there. But I also think that whatever he decides to do, it has to be absolutely right. He can't, the one thing he can't do is retire and then decide he's going to pull a Tom Brady or and come back or something like that, because then those comparisons to Jordan become even worse.
You're right.
So if he's gonna retire, he's got to stay retired. And if he comes back, I agree with you. He's going to be looking for some major changes. I don't know what those changes look like because the Lakers got no picks, no first round picks. They ain't got shit to trade except for AD. And I don't know if teams are going to be willing to give up, the farm for AD anymore, just because he didn't get it done in some times where they needed him.
I tell you this too. The Lakers losing was for me, not to hate on LeBron, but to me, it's showing us that the Suns and the Lakers, it's coming to that end of the super team era. Where in Phoenix you have it right there. The super team, quote unquote, was built and fabricated. I think they're going to be the last of them. Golden State is on the last leg. Well, rather, Golden State wasn't really a super team outside of the KD move, but I think this is signifying for the league having more teams that are more balanced. As you see these older superstars getting to their last legs, you're starting to see a team like Miami that can go to deep rounds with just one superstar. You know, um, I like it because I want to see the parity in the league. I want to see teams like the Kings come up, the Nuggets come up. I think this is good for the game. Not having these front-loaded three-man super team rosters, having some more parity and balance to the league. I think that time is coming, and I'm hoping that teams are going to realize you can't just trade everybody and think you're going to trade yourself a win. You got to find ways to develop the people you got on your roster, and you got to, really market your team. You know what I mean? You got Memphis that has Ja, and then they got the other guys. And shit, we've even seen when Ja was out, These guys won 20 games. They look like they were playing better. So I'm just hoping that the league catches on and says, look, we're never gonna find another. I don't think you're ever gonna find another LeBron James that can do what this dude did in 20 years. Like, that's a marketable dude that came out of high school that was able to play and contribute and be great immediately and do this shit for 20 years, no scandals, no arrests, family man. I don't know that you're gonna find another guy that can be the face of your league like that. You're gonna
And
have to
he could
now.
turn his head away from his teammate smashing his mom. Like that's you got to be
So,
you got to be a stand up guy to put your team over your mom's Vaj.
For what they say,
so
it's not the first time. But I mean, again, the league is really going to have to take this opportunity to really look around and see how you can get parity back into the league. Because even a dude like Giannis, who you would want to pass the torch to, he's not that young, and physically, we don't know that he's going to go 20 years like LeBron. So I think this is a good time for the NBA to start playing it for the future.
So I hear what you're saying, EJ, and I definitely would like to see parity in the league as well. Yes, I know it's coming from a Heat fan, Steve. Um, um, but I disagree with you, right? And I think what we're seeing in the league now, we've actually seen this before, right? We saw it with the Lakers, at the end of the Shaq Kobe era, right? When they brought on Gary Payton and Karl Malone and all those guys. They built that super team with aging stars, and they lost to a more balanced team in Detroit, right? And I think the same thing is happening now, to where you have all these superstars, right? Because you had the era where it was, you had the Jordans and the Ewings and the Shaqs and the Kobes, and it was just like stars all across the league, parity. And then those guys aged out, and then it was like Kobe and a couple others. Then 2003 comes along, and it's like you got Kobe, LeBron, Wade, and it's just stars all around. KD, Westbrook, Harden, all these guys are all over the NBA. They're teaming up, they're winning championships, etc. Steph and them boys with the Dubs. And now, as all those guys are getting older, the league is kind of resetting again to where it's just handful of stars sprinkled throughout. It seems like parity. And then, maybe 10 years from now, we have another one of those 2003 kind of drafts that's just loaded with talent. And then this cycle kind of repeats itself again. So I think it's just,
I mean,
a
that's
for
kind of what
now
I said.
thing.
That's
No,
kind of what I
I
said.
get what you're saying, but you're saying the NBA should get away from this thing, and I don't think the NBA is gonna get away.
No,
I think
what
it's
I'm
just
saying is they need to figure out how they're gonna
Who's the
capitalize
next
on this right
marketable
now.
person?
Yeah, how are you gonna capitalize the other teams and who they got? And because again, even in the Jordan days and the Kobe days, and prior to LeBron, teams were marketed more than superstars. Like like the superstars of those teams had their own marketing things themselves, but the league today has become more focused on the players versus the franchises. And I think that's where you kind of got to get back into figuring that out. How do you now make these franchises more desirable to the rest of the league and to the fans? And that also goes back to the playing games and the rest factor and all that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
That shit. This is now the time to capitalize and say, hey, we're gonna have talent playing 82 games every year, every game, every city, because we're not just focused on one superstar. And plus, like I said, LeBron is one guy in of his own space. Like, you're never gonna see a dude do what he did for as long as he did, coming from high school. And then the decision was major. That was a big thing. Even in the examples you gave, Karl Malone and Peyton, those guys were free agents and they were really on their back legs. What LeBron did in having two guys orchestrate their way
In their
into Miami
prime.
in their prime, that's something that we've never seen. We've
they were
never
free
I,
agents.
seen it.
I think the league
They were free
reset
agents.
came. The league reset came was when Dame Dash, fuck am I talking about? Dame Lillard decided he was gonna be
In Portland.
He was going to stay in Portland. Giannis decided to stay with Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
Like you had this next level of stars, to your point, who are they're being loyal, right? If you will, loyal is kind of what they're calling it. Dame sticking around. Giannis didn't want to go to a bigger market, so these super teams that we do have today are old guys. And to EJ's point, they're not guys that are in their prime. You threw together that Brooklyn team, which looked amazing on paper, didn't work. You threw together that Philly team, and it's not working. Like you got to get some young legs out there. You got your two stars in Denver, and they're looking like they're gonna get it done. You got Miami, who's finding a way. You got this guy that's willing these guys to win. This guy that everyone's calling a superstar, but like VP said, he don't appear to be a superstar to me after these last 3 games. I give Jimmy Butler all the credit in the world leading up to it, but he's gonna have to will his way into Game 7 and win that game to get back into superstar.
Jimmy's a star. He's not a superstar.
Yeah, he's a st.
Because like if you going like on the range of stars,
Jimmy's not a superstar.
No, because I feel like superstar because you got to do it in the regular season too. It's not you can't
Jimmy Butler is a max player superstar now. Is he every kid's favorite sneaker? Is he every kid's favorite player? Probably not. But when you talking about the level of basketball, he damn sure is a superstar. Any guy that talks about him one-on-one, they tell you how tenacious and how tough this dude is. So he's definitely up there. He's a top 10 player in the league, right?
Yeah, Jimmy Butler's a superstar, man.
No question.
I'm just giving him a hard time because he hasn't showed up. He's definitely a superstar. I was looking at kind of pivoting. Before we get off basketball, congratulations to Carmelo Anthony. Great career for him. He didn't win. He's going to be another Charles Barkley. He's going to be another Karl Malone. But he did it his way. He didn't build a super team. He went to New York with Amari Stoudemire, and that just didn't work out. Stoudemire want to punch fire extinguishers. And then by the time he got to other good teams, Lakers and stuff like that, they were on their back leg. But Carmelo Anthony, one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen. I don't care what nobody says. Great shooter, great mid-range game, not much defense, but still an amazing scorer. Good career for him. Shout out to him. He decided to retire.
You talking about the dude with the braids?
Oh, this guy.
The guy with the hoodie.
The sad part about Melo's career is that in both his places that he's played, that he, in his prime of his career, in Denver, the 15, Jokic got the 15. So can't even retire his joint there because Jokic about to get them a chip. And then in New York, he wore 7. Now people are talking about them retiring that, but it's Bernard King's number, ain't it? So
to Chris, this is my problem with Melo. Is right. I get all the stuff Steve's saying, great scorer, all that stuff like that, right? But I mean, this guy, one-way player, didn't play defense, showed up to camp like out of shape, like habitually. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get, the dude got accolades, right? And he should be celebrated for some of them, but like this whole great career, but like, the career was good.
He's a Hall of Famer. Carmelo Anthony's a Hall of Famer without a ring. So that's a good career. That's a great career.
I just said good career. You said great career. I think
you got dudes on Miami hanging around for 50 years because they want to make the Hall of Fame off of extra rings and shit. Haslam taking up a damn bench spot. You want to talk
that shit right there? That's y'all real fucking problem. Why is this dude on y'all team?
And he's sitting there. It don't matter. He's sitting there. Your fan base is sitting there saying we want Haslam at the end of a fucking blowout game, and this guy's making this face like he's above it. Then you better take that hoodie off and go in there and make these fans happy. Fuck out of here.
He
should have been gone. He should have been gone.
He didn't even have to play. He could have went in there, fouled somebody, and came out, and the Heat lawyer would have been happy.
He should have been on the coaching staff. Like I can't take him, yo. I'm a Florida Gators guy. but I can't take Haslam, yo. I just do not like this dude. Do not like
Carmelo
him.
Anthony had a great career, man. Shout out to him.
Okay, I won't say he had a good career. He had a very good career.
He had a great career. No ring, great career. Lots of
Melo had
scoring.
a great
He
career.
got to smash Lala a lot. Like that's a great career to me. Played overseas, got some gold medals. This guy's good, man. If he would have had the same, listen, if he had the same opportunity as LeBron, he would have rings.
He did have the
Hey,
same
if
opportunity as
if
No, he
LeBron.
if
didn't.
if
No, he didn't.
Detroit wasn't smoking crack rock and
Oh
took
well, yeah.
him
There's that.
instead of Darko,
Yeah, they
we got
crazy. They
a
thought
whole nother
Tayshaun Prince was
conversation.
the next guy. But if Carmelo Anthony went to Miami and built that super team, he would have rings
Or
too.
LA, or
That's
the
not what I mean
LA
when I say the
Chris
same
Paul
opportunity,
Kobe
right?
move.
Did Carmelo have an opportunity to work out and better himself in the offseason? Yes. Did he do it? No. Like you can't just say like, oh, like there's this force that was against Carmelo. Like he did some of that shit to himself
What makes you think he didn't better himself in the offseason? Because the media told you
because
that?
he showed up to
Well,
camp out of shape.
In New York, he was definitely not the same guy that he could have been.
Not in
But
Like
Denver.
in the offseason when LeBron was in the gym getting better, Carmelo was driving by the gym hitting up
but
McDonald's.
LeBron, oh, come on, like the decision, come on, like come on, the decision, come on,
Yeah,
buddy, come on,
LeBron
come
got
on,
better, but he also
come
got
on.
his team better every year. Every year he went and got his team better. Stop,
Okay.
man. Cut it
So
out.
Melo
Cut it
couldn't
out.
do that?
Cut it out.
Could
No,
Melo
How
not do
could you
that?
do it when LeBron took everybody? LeBron, like, yo, give me the top 7 dudes and the top 7 dudes that can get minimum contracts and put them on my team. How
Sure.
could you compete with that? Come on, man. Stop. We're
Sure.
not gonna
I mean, it's a
do this.
stretch.
We're not
Like you
doing
try to
this
shoot him
today.
Bell.
nasty,
Like, look,
nasty,
he had a great career, yo. Like, stop shooting him Bell, man.
We're not doing that today. Yo,
Stop
nasty,
shooting him Bell, yo.
um,
nasty.
I was reading my
I'm
my
I'm
time.
I'm sitting here. I get Steve doing it. Like he's a LeBron hater, no problem, right? Like it's par for the course. But EJ, being a resident Knicks fan
No,
who's seen the
I could
bullshit
tell
that
you,
Carmelo's done, like, come on, dog.
Melo. I was not
DJ
happy
hates
with.
Melo.
I was not happy with Melo's time in New York at all. I think it was highly overrated. He was a volume shooter. I mean, this dude was going 3 for like 29, and people were like, oh, he started calling himself this pure scorer shit. You only saying that because you jacking up 30 shots a game. And this dude came to us out of shape. You could tell from when he came back to the league and how he slimmed down and how he's playing above the rim again. This dude was in New York, couldn't even dunk the basketball, was struggling to dunk the basketball. So I mean, his time in New York for me wasn't the best, but in his Denver career and, even in his time in New York, he still was one of those guys that can do what he could
Melo is
do.
that dude, man.
But
Melo's
in
a pure
New
scorer.
York, he wasn't who we think he is.
And he wasn't scared of the big shots. Like this dude, he had everything you needed in a star, except he didn't sell his soul. I mean,
You're right.
listen,
He had
if
everything he needed in a start except defense, leadership,
if you put
set an example. Like,
if you
like I
listen,
don't understand what Steve is talking about here, yo.
if
Like,
LeBron
EJ,
stays
am I
in
crazy?
if
No,
LeBron stays in Cleveland, he don't get no rings. If Melo started in Denver, didn't build no super team, he ain't get no rings. Let's just put it that way. Let's call it what it is. Dwayne
well
Wade got rings.
they went to the West Finals in Denver, and they couldn't get it done. But again, in New York, this dude Melo was horrible. Chris, I don't give a shit what you saying. He was not he was not what we think he was in New York. This dude was a volume shooter. Dude, we win 50 plus games, right? Mike, and I gotta give Mike Woodson some respect. Mike Woodson, probably to me, the second best head coach we've had in the last 20 plus years. We win 55 games. We beat the LeBron Heat mostly because of our bench that year, outscoring them like 50-1 or some crazy shit like that. We get to the playoffs. This nigga Melo doesn't score shit. I mean, not nothing. Just hold the entire series. He has a good series, good first round series, and then the next round cold. Just doesn't show up. It's terrible, man. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Let that man retire in peace. R.I.P. R.I.P. Melo. Retire in peace.
Jesus,
While
that,
while
that. Don't say
Speaking of
RIP.
RIPs, man, we lost Tina Turner this week, man.
Yeah. I was reading my timeline and it said, I just heard some thunder. Argentina get into it right already up there. Um, somebody else said, y'all wasted all them prayers on Jamie Foxx and we lost Tina.
There you go.
Damn.
There you go.
But yeah, Tina Turner. Rest in peace, Tina Turner. We missed somebody last week.
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown, Jimmy
Yeah.
Beach.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jim Brown, icon to us, to our people. Amazing player, of course. Everybody knows that part, but I think it was more the off-field stuff that he was a part of that he should be remembered for. So rest in peace to Jim Brown as well.
Activism, actor, a true man's man. They don't make them
Can
like
we
that
say that
anymore.
these days? A man's
Yeah,
man?
we gonna do it. We gonna do it here.
Are there even still men in this world?
I don't know.
What is a man? Tell me, what's a man? Yeah, man. Rest in peace to Jim Brown. VP, it's looking like your people found a way to get something done. So we may not go full out 100% recession. Tell us a little bit about what happened.
Oh, I mean, Biden and McCarthy negotiated. They reached They reached an agreement in principle on raising the debt ceiling.
Biden got to pass the physical.
What's that?
Biden got to still pass the physical though.
We're not there yet, right? Because one, devil's in the details. McCarthy briefed Republicans last night. They're planning on voting on this thing on Wednesday, meaning that they started last night and they'll spend most of today and tomorrow putting the agreement into legislative text, and then that text has to be given to the members and stuff like that. And like I told a friend of mine who was like, "Oh, this is good. They reached a deal. Like, you think this is good or bad? Based on like some of the highlights that we've seen." And I was like, we don't know yet. The devil's in the details, right? Because they have stuff, where they talk about, oh, no change in work requirements for Medicaid, and it phases in, and then it sunsets some changes that they made to SNAP or the food stamps program or whatever. But until we actually see the details, we don't know. So did Biden give up the store, or
he gave it up? He gave up the student loans. That's the fuck he gave up. He not gonna fight it. He not gonna. They're gonna be like, listen, we're gonna sign, but you're gonna have to give that student loan shit up.
So like one of the things that I heard about was I don't know if you guys remember the news where they was like Republicans were making this big deal out of they were talking about these 87,000 IRS agents, right, which was a complete bullshit or whatever to begin with, right? It was basically 87,000 new employees. Like, so people talk about how wait times when you call the IRS have gone down like 50% just because they've hired a bunch of people just in their call center to take calls. You know what I mean? So instead of being on hold for 3 hours, now you can get an answer to your call in a couple minutes or whatever. But one of the things that I've heard is that some of the money that was going to go towards enforcement, so people who will be doing like audits and that kind of thing like that, they're going to pull some of that funding away, which means now the IRS will be hamstrung again, right? And this kind of goes to the point that I always make with EJ when EJ, is fairly criticizing the government, right? Well, he'll say like, "Where's the ATF? How come they didn't do this? How come they didn't do that?" And I'm saying, "Yo, like, look, Congress has basically taken away funding from the ATF. The ATF hasn't had a director in like 15 years. You know what I mean? And they've done all these things to make it to where while the nation does have some gun laws in place, they're hard as hell to enforce, right? And it's at negotiations like this where you see these kind of things happen, where it's like, oh, we got all this news about, oh, we're going to start making the wealthy pay their fair share because we're going to enforce tax laws by hiring all these professionals that can actually do these audits to audit, rich people's tax returns that have hundreds of pages. To now, it may be where, oh, they did the debt limit deal and gave up the money for that. So yeah, on paper, they're hiring 87,000 people, but in reality, they're not, because there's no money to do it. So again, the devil's in the details. We got to see, what's in there. And at this point, we only have stuff like top line 30,000 feet level information. We don't really have like actual details to know like what is in this thing.
So watch this space.
Watch this space.
But it needs to be done by June 1st, right?
The Treasury Secretary said that we probably can go to June 5th. So
Okay. So
we
the
still
next
got
week
time.
should be interesting.
Yeah.
Nigga
But
said
McCarthy
June
is saying
5th.
they plan on
He
passing it
said
on.
June 5th like it was mad long after June 1st.
Well, no, I mean, because June 1st is like 2 days from now or something like that.
Yeah, and the 5th is right behind it.
Right. No,
It's
no
4
doubt.
days
I'm
later.
just, but that's the thing is like in Washington, like, and that's why these things happen this way, right? It's that this deal comes
That
down to
boy's
the
on
wire.
vacation. Niggas
They
stay
put
on
it.
vacation.
They put the thing out there at the end of the time frame, right? And then it gets to a point to where it's like, you're gonna have some Republicans who are like, I'm not with this. Some Democrats are gonna be like, I'm not with this, and then the whole thing is gonna be, we gotta pass it. We don't have no more time. You know what I mean? And then it gets passed, and then you have something shitty that gets put into law because they had to pass it.
Yeah. Your favorite candidate, Ron DeSantis, announced his candidacy for president this week. Is that right?
What an idiot, man. This guy his political instincts are off. And don't get me wrong, right? I don't think there's any secret to anybody who listens. There's no secret with anybody who listens to this podcast. I don't like Ron DeSantis. He's a fascist. I think he's fucking racist. He's a fucking piece of shit.
I hate him.
So, I mean, yeah,
I don't think
one
he's
day I'll tell you
racist,
how I
but
really feel about him. Okay. So, but the way he launched this campaign was so dumb. He gets into this deal with Elon Musk to launch his campaign on Twitter. The shit goes off the rails, right? The Twitter Spaces event doesn't. They started. It keeps getting cut off. It keeps the servers keep failing. It takes them 20 minutes to get this shit going. And then when they first launched it, it was like 600,000 people in the room. And then by the time he actually gets to making the speech, there's like barely 100,000 people there in the Twitter Spaces, right? That's one. Two, because he has no real political operators around him, right? Normally, when you do political events, sometimes you'll notice next time you watch like a candidate do like a campaign speech, you'll notice like sometimes they're talking in front of a microphone and they're also mic'd up on their, like they got a mic like on their chest or something like that. And that's to make sure everything that they're saying is being captured, because sometimes the mics fail and they want to make sure they're capturing this shit so that way they can turn it around and put it into campaign ads or put it into radio ads and shit like that, right? His people didn't mic him up. They didn't record the event themselves, right? So the commercial they put out of him saying the shit that he said with Elon Musk is all recorded from Twitter. So it has all the errors and all the bullshit that happened in that thing. It's just the shit is wild. And then
Guess what? It ain't gonna matter.
Elon Musk sold it to them like this.
yeah, because he hates gays, so that's enough.
It ain't gonna
It's
matter.
Twitter, right? It's new technology, right? So they're using this new technology, guys, right? That allows people all over the country, no, all over the world, to be able to hear audio of a person speaking at an event. They could have been in their car, they could have been in their home, and they were going to be able to hear this audio with this new technology, right? Sounds like radio to me. Something that's been around since the 1800s.
How does Elon Musk keep getting bail for supporting these motherfuckers and doing the shit that he does? Like, how has Tesla not been canceled? How have people not boycotted Twitter by now? How?
Because of Steve. So the same way Steve is a stand for Jordan, Elon Musk has these people who are like that. He can't do any wrong. And no matter what he does, they shoot him bail. And
that don't mean nothing. You still got people out there like what's your boy's name? The black dude that likes, or the white dude that likes The Wire? The sportscaster. What's his name?
Nick Wright.
Dick Ryder. Dick Wright. He's still out there fighting the good fight for LeBron being better than Jordan every day. This dude wakes up every day and finds a new stat, a new fake stat. It's Thursday. LeBron James scored 40 points. Nobody has scored as many 40-point games on a Thursday as LeBron James. And then he puts that out on ESPN, on the major platform, to
He's
try
not
and
on
make people
ESPN. He's
feel
on
that
Fox
way.
Sports.
Fox.
It's exactly same
which,
thing.
Which should tell you something.
Nonetheless, right? You still have those people. So I think, to EJ's point, where are the people on the other side of it that hate Elon Musk? Where are the people that are taking the videos of Teslas driving people off the road when you put on the AI, and making posts or viral posts or whatever it is, reels, whatever you want to do to kind of counter this guy, talking about his support for racists and fascists and DeSantis's, and the fact that he didn't go out and create this this thing from the bottom up like he claims he did, right? He went out and bought someone else's idea. Like, where are those people?
And let me
So
tell you
those
something.
people,
All them fake ass woke black people that's making all your money to go out there and get a Tesla, you a part of the problem too.
I'm about to buy a Tesla.
those people are there, right? But the difference is though is that those people get drowned out by the stands, and in their one platform to talk their shit, to like your point, Steve, to put out the viral videos and things like they do it on Twitter. And one of the things that Elon has done at Twitter is he's put in this thing called community notes that essentially allow just regular people to go on and make notes on other tweets. So you could have a news organization, right? So a news organization like CNN could show a viral video of a Tesla car crashing while it was on autopilot, right?
Mhm.
And then some guy can just go on there and add a community note that says, "Oh, the stuff expressed in this video hasn't been confirmed, and studies have shown that Tesla's AI for driving is super safe." And then it gets 1,000 retweets, and then that becomes the thing. And then people look at that thinking that it's a fact check, because here's Twitter, it's a multi-billion-dollar company. Why would they just let some random add a fact check to a thing? But they are. But people who are just living their lives don't see it that way. They see that, oh, here's a fact check. Somebody must have checked this out, and CNN must have just got it wrong.
And people ain't boycotting Twitter either. I mean, people will rather have their luxuries of life than really stand up. It's like how we were saying, Steve, back when people were boycotting the NFL, but they will watch the NBA. It's the same shit. But because you want to get
drink
what you
Pepsi.
want to get, because you want to get what you want to get off, you're not gonna boycott it all. So because people still enjoy their Twitter, they still love their Teslas. Elon Musk is still the man.
Just say VP's name. This dude talks so much shit about Elon Musk,
but I do
and
have
this
Twitter. I still use
and this
Twitter.
nigga live on Twitter. He be on. I think he'd be on Twitter more than he'd be on the toilet. Like this, he lives on that shit. So I think
Twitter is still one of the places. Not one of the places. Twitter is still the best place to get information on social media. It's bad now, right? But it's still like, because you're able to curate your following, right? I follow a lot of journalists and stuff like that, and
and you be
I get
fucking up
news.
my algorithm too. Like,
Cool.
I log into my Twitter and all I see is fucking super democratic shit. And I don't follow none of them motherfuckers. Just because I follow you and you be sharing them shits, my
I told
algorithm
you
is
what you have to
toe up.
do when you go
That
on
and
Twitter.
titties. That's all I see. And that's
When you
all your fault.
when you go on Twitter, you have to at the top of your feed, you'll have one thing that says following and another one says for you. If you have it set to for you, that's the algorithm pushing what they think you want to see. If you put it
Changing
on
it right
following,
now.
you only see shit that you from people that you follow.
There you go. Changing it right now. That's why for you. Well, never mind. I won't tell you what I saw on my timeline yesterday. But I know where it came from. I know who created that algorithm for me. But okay. So what else is going on? EJ told us what he was watching. Anything else on politics? I know they're on vacation right now and probably ain't shit going on.
The one thing is Supreme
DeSantis is
Court.
a piece of shit. For those of you that don't live in Florida, we do, and this guy is a piece of shit.
He's a big time.
He's canceled so many programs to benefit just everyday individuals, benefit Black people, to benefit Hispanic people, to benefit autistic children. Like, there's funding that was canceled to benefit autistic children so that they can't get the additional therapy that they need. State funded. So just understand, this is the type of piece of shit that you like. This is the guy who told you that it would be a political thing if he addressed Nazis standing outside a shopping center, a major shopping center. This is the guy who allows them to put out signs that say kill the gays and doesn't do anything about it. This is the guy that's up against Disney because they support gay rights. This is the guy who's running for president and the Republicans are putting in front of you. So if you're not from Florida and you're not familiar with DeSantis, that's just a little bit of what's going on. And I'm not even a political person. I just live here. VP could probably tell you, and if you do a little research, you'll realize that this guy's probably worse than Trump. If it was him and Trump and I had a choice, I would vote Trump, and I don't like Trump.
Yeah, they on the politics front, man. The two biggest things I would say right now, debt ceiling, that seems like it's going to be resolving itself in the coming days. Supreme Court's going to be big over the next I would say about 2 weeks, because we're getting to June. They start releasing the rest of their decisions. We got a gun case that's out there that we already pretty much know how that's probably going to go. Student loan case should be coming up. I don't think there's any abortion cases in the mix. There's a big voting rights case that they haven't decided yet coming out of North Carolina. So Supreme Court will be huge. And then I think for the rest of the summer, man, everybody's going to pretty much be on, for politics at least, they're going to be on Trump watch, because according to media reports and then just the way that we see certain things moving, it seems like these cases that Trump is being investigated for, whether it's Fulton County in Georgia, the federal case with the special counsel, those things appear to be hitting their endpoint, and we should be getting to the stage to where they decide whether or not any kind of charging decisions. So in Georgia, you're looking more like August. The prosecutor she didn't really announce she's charging people in August, but she sent a note to the judges at the Fulton County Courthouse to not schedule any of her people for any cases that they're involved in for court appearances during the first 2 weeks of August. So that's told people in the legal community that this is likely a time when charging decisions are going to be happening. In the federal cases, we don't see that same kind of movement, but we see things like Trump lawyers asking for meetings with the attorney general. That's usually what you do at the last stages before charges are getting decided, and the grand jury in those cases haven't met in a while. So that's probably telling people that they're either, the special counsel is likely typing up what he wants to do, that he's going to submit to the attorney general to get the yay or nay. So in the next 6 to 8 weeks, we should be getting movement on the Trump legal shit.
What do you think is going to be the outcome of that?
So Merrick Garland has waited too long to do anything, right? Because just the way that the court process moves, let's say they charge Trump tomorrow in the federal case, it's very likely Trump's not going to end up having a trial date until this time in 2024, right? And then that trial will last, let's say 6 weeks or so, right? The trial gets done. Let's say they get a guilty verdict. Trump is going to appeal. By the time the appeals process plays out, you're talking about like another year. Now, the campaign is also happening. But what if he gets elected? You know what I mean? And then, does he pardon himself? It's all kind of shit that can happen. But because the attorney general waited so late in the game to get things rolling on this, he's basically kind of boxed himself into a corner a little bit. For the best case scenario for people to get justice would be for everything to happen the way that I said. Obviously, he's not going to be charged tomorrow, but charged in the next few weeks or so. 2024 goes to trial, and then in November, you need Biden to basically be reelected to sustain these verdicts and things like that, for it to go all the way through, for Trump to face any kind of justice. If not, then I think we don't. I think we don't get anything. It's on paper basically, because if he wins, he's not gonna let himself go to jail. If somebody like DeSantis wins, I think that they would pardon him. I think you would need like one of these more mainstream Republicans who won't win, like a guy like Asa Hutchinson who's running, but he's not going to win. No, most people don't even know who the hell I'm talking about. So
Right.
you need a guy. He's the former governor of Arkansas, but you need somebody like him to win.
I thought it was like the GM of Ford or something.
So yeah, so that's it's kind of a watch this space thing, man.
Got you. All right. Well, we'll keep posted. Keep us updated on that. Have you been watching anything additional outside of your norms? Anything noteworthy?
Just the norms. I'm still watching Citadel. I'm hating the accent every new episode. I hate it even more. The show is just it's getting outlanded. It's been outlanded.
It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah,
it's bad.
I feel like the show hasn't captured me.
It's
I
bad.
feel like it's doing like just enough to make me watch one more episode. But I think it's gonna be one of those things where I have to just like cut bait. And even though I feel like I could watch one more episode, just say fuck it or whatever, you know what I mean? Because it's not that good. And then Succession, man, like this season, like this is how you do a series finale. You know what I mean?
How many episodes are left?
Tonight's the finale.
Oh, okay.
Tonight is it. So
great. That means my timeline's gonna be lit.
This is how you do a finale where
maybe I'll just watch the finale tonight. Don't know anything else about what's going on.
Things are being resolved, right? You're getting to see how shit plays out. Like every episode has been a banger. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, how like sometimes you get to a series and it's like, man, episode 7 of the final season was crazy. And then, but it's like, that's all you really remember from the whole shit. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like every episode in this season has been a banger. You know what I mean? And so, it's just, yeah, it's this show is fucking amazing, man. This show is amazing.
I restarted Snowfall. Now that it's ended, I feel like I'm going to be able to watch it all the way through. I finished the first season.
You just watched the first season?
Yeah, I just finished the first season.
Oh, wow.
I started watching it a while ago, but I don't like picking something up after a long time on like the episode that I left off on, because I know I'm gonna forget some shit that led up to it. So I'd rather just start back at one. So that's what I did with Snowfall. I finished that first season, and I think I'm on episode 3 of season 2. And I remember why I liked it. Like I love it. I mean, that's the type of shit that I like to watch. I like drugs and violence and thug shit. Mexicans in Cali, because I always want to go out there and see what that be like. Anyway, so but it's cool, and the play in with the government and shit. Like VPU would probably really appreciate that. So you should probably start watching.
What is that on?
FX,
but so it's Hulu. Yeah, streamable on Hulu.
Gotcha.
Finally, Steve, was that it for you?
Yeah, other than that, I haven't been able to peep too much of anything else.
Is that still on? Like, is that show still like on TV?
Nah, the final season just finished.
Just ended.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I can definitely check that out now. I probably watch and give. How many seasons?
Yeah,
it's gonna be like The Wire for Vari Watch. Okay, he's gonna watch that through, and then he's gonna watch it again.
Get that done in about a week or so.
It doesn't end well. I can tell you that. It doesn't end well. The last couple seasons, to me. But
somebody said that the previous season was trash, and that this season started off okay but got better, and they did a pretty good job with it. This last season.
Yeah, I didn't like
watch it.
I didn't like it. The best seasons were the first 2 strongest ones. When John Singleton was still around. I think when he passed, I think that gave
changes things.
Yeah, it changed things for the show.
Steve, what you need to go watch, you need to go get caught up on Warrior, because that shit is getting ready to come back for season 3. So that way we can talk about that shit.
I couldn't do it, man. I got through like 4 episodes and it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, that shit
I
is good.
finally got to see Air. That was pretty dope.
Ah,
That
yes,
was
I
that
did
was
like that.
pretty dope. And it's just amazing
Don't
how
tell these
that
LeBron fans that it was good. They don't want
I
to hear that.
started it. I just fell
it's
asleep. I gotta go back.
amazing how that one decision changed the scope of basketball, sneakers, fashion for the
Hmm.
next 40 years. Like that is incredible. It's
Hmm.
incredible.
If he would have, so here's the thing. Not only that, right? And I didn't realize this either, but I didn't realize that he was the first one to have a shoe branded to his name versus him
Yeah.
just representing the brand. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that. And I'm a huge Jordan fan and didn't know that. So
Yeah,
that like this was I was able to learn some shit watching this shit. And kind of more about Nike to me, right? Like
Mhm.
their vision and taking it on. And I think they did a good job with minimizing Michael Jordan in this movie. And you could keep
Oh
me
yeah.
honest.
Oh yeah.
Um, Jordan family and the mom and stuff. They played it. They talked a lot about her, but
Hmm.
they didn't show what his face would look like. They showed his persona maybe 2 or 3 times throughout the movie to make sure that he didn't overshadow the story of Nike and it didn't
Oh
become a
yeah.
Jordan story. And I thought they did a good job with that.
That was excellent, man. It was just excellent film top to bottom. The historical aspect of it again, just crazy. Just it's just amazing. And even how he just changed the landscape of the NBA and the shoe, color. And so I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna get too much into it, but just
I
yeah.
think your man did a good job too. Not Affleck, the other one,
Damon.
Manny.
Damon. I thought Matt
Mhm.
Damon did a really good job playing that role. I thought he did a good job. It was interesting, man. VP, you finish it. I think you'll appreciate it. You'll probably have a little bit of hate for it because he didn't play for the Heat and he's not LeBron, but
No,
um,
I like Jordan.
still pretty good.
Jordan
Um,
is like the New York
Here we
New
go.
York sports teams for me.
Oh
It's their fans that make me not like them.
man.
Mm,
I'll take it.
it's like LeBron, same thing with me. And Kobe, like I hated Kobe until he got the rape
I
allegation and
hated
everybody
Kobe.
turned on him, and then I loved Kobe. And then LeBron, I hated him until he became a villain, and then he became a
Like
hero
I
again.
don't
And
know.
I just don't want to be
I'm
like
not
Kobe.
sure if you understand like how that sounds out loud.
Oh.
I didn't like him.
Yeah.
Then he got a rape allegation. That was my man. Like
Well, allegation. It'd be different if he actually done it.
Okay. Yeah.
you know, tried to help you, man. You just
Double down.
like
He went
let
double
let me
down.
drown.
Double down on it.
Hey, listen, Kobe's a man. Um, nonetheless, what else? Any actually, let me see something. Oh, I saw a post online that I was going to ask you guys about. VP, I need you to be objective on this one.
As always.
Um, no. This is a true objective. You can hate this person as much as you want.
Okay.
But it said which TV dad is missing from this top 10 list.
Mm.
The top 10 TV dad is, and I don't agree with this order, but I'm going to tell you what the order was in. First of all,
I already know who's missing already. I already know it. But go
yeah,
ahead.
we can debunk it. But they said Danny Tanner, right? You know who that is.
Mhm. Wow.
From
Full
Full
House.
House. Trash.
Dan Connor from Roseanne. Tim the
Also
Toolman
trash.
Taylor. This was
Mhm.
clearly this list was clearly made by a white person.
Yeah.
Tim Taylor at number 3, Phil Banks at number 4, Carl Winslow at number 5, Phil Dunphy from Modern Family at number 6, George Lopez number 7, Andy Griffith number 8, Mike Brady from the Brady Bunch, and then Al Bundy at number 10.
I thought they would have left Bundy off, and Bundy definitely needs to be skyrocketed to the top 5. Bundy is forever one of the best TV dads. Led a nation of how to be a man and be a misogynist. God bless Al Bundy.
I mean, obviously the list is missing uh Bill
Heathcliff
Cosby.
Huxtable. Heathcliff Huxtable.
Yeah.
Number 1.
Yeah, and then some of the people I don't even think should be on that list, like Tim the Tool Man Taylor.
He
Yeah.
was trash. Modern
Yeah.
Family dad. No,
I like Dunphy. I don't think he's like what we're thinking for top dads. But
you ain't
yeah.
got what's his name from that was Willis. What you call it? Robin Thicke's dad,
Oh
Alan Thicke.
yeah,
Alan Thicke.
Mr. Drummond.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Alan Thicke. Different strokes. That's it.
Wait, no. Did Alan Thicke play
I
Mr.
mean,
Drummond's score?
his father sung the song rather. His
Yeah,
father
because I was
sung
gonna say
the.
because his father actually had a show where he was a dad, and I'm forgetting what the show was.
I thought it
It's
was.
it's it wasn't different. It wasn't different shows. Mr. Drummond was the old white guy with the white hair.
Right,
Oh,
right.
different
Um,
strokes. Yeah.
no, yeah, but that wasn't Alan Thicke.
No, no, it wasn't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Alan Thicke had a show though. Oh, Growing
Growing
Pains. He was a
pains.
dad on
Growing
Growing
pains.
Pains. That's what it was.
Growing pains. Yep.
And yeah, I mean, he did good there. But
Yep.
yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I don't know, man. Philip Drummond probably deserves to be there. I mean, to be a guy who
Took in.
took in two black kids and
Right.
yeah, man.
Yep. What was the dude
Um,
step by step? That dude. I mean, would be
Yeah.
wait.
curly hair dude.
Yeah.
Curly hair dude.
He wasn't. He didn't do anything to the kids though, did
Yo,
he?
and where the fuck is James Evans?
Oh, from Good Times.
Yeah.
You know he ain't
Yeah,
making that list.
I told you. So this list, this was made by
Yeah,
them's.
you know they put the nice black dudes they like on there. They wasn't gonna put no James Evans
Mhm.
on there.
Yeah,
Definitely
but
wasn't.
nonetheless, Heathcliff Huxtable there can't be a TV dad list without Heathcliff Huxtable.
I agree.
Regardless of how people feel about Bill Cosby himself, like I feel like Cliff Huxtable was probably on my list. If I'm making a list
He
of
was
top TV
America's
dads,
dad. They
I
called him
think he's number
America's
one.
dad. They
Yeah.
I think
called him
he's number one
America's
for
dad.
me.
He
Yep.
was literally America's dad at one point.
Yeah. I mean, we got to,
Blacks and whites.
people always say you got to separate the art from the artist, and I get guilty of doing like, I tell you guys, I don't fuck with Kanye anymore. And I've tried to cancel him out of my, anything I deal with, I listen to
Terrible.
my shit on playlist. Some with Kanye come on, I skip to the next song, so, so, and it's easy to say, but I think we really have to, separate the art from the artist, right? Because the same shit, like, last time I went on a cruise, they're still playing Michael Jackson, right? But they don't play R. Kelly.
Hey. Michael
They better play
Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
No, I
Michael
don't have a problem.
Jackson
No,
was
what I'm saying, that's the point I'm
guilty.
making is that they
Oh,
they,
but they
they
don't
still
play R.
play
Kelly.
Michael, but they won't play R. Kelly.
Right. Well, I mean,
And so
R. Kelly's been convicted though.
Yo, if you had a choice,
Or charged.
of them putting R. Kelly's music back in rotation or the Cosby Show back in rotation, which would you choose? If they had to, if one of them had to go away
R.
forever, which one
R.
goes away?
Kelly's music. R. Kelly's music. I would have to have back in rotation. I mean, people still playing that shit. they still playing that shit. Like I was just somewhere last night and a chick sung a R. Kelly song for karaoke.
I'm not listening to R. Kelly. Like I'm not like, and I'm also watching the Cosby Show, but I don't know if I had to make a choice between if they said, hey, tomorrow we're canceling one of these people forever and we're gonna flash your brain and you got to live without it forever. I don't know if I'm living without R. Kelly or the Cosby Show
I got
today.
let me.
Yeah, I mean the Cosby Show. If you take away the Cosby Show, you wipe away a different world, which then you wipe away a bunch of other people's
Fat Albert.
careers. You wipe away a bunch of other people's careers. So I think that's the collateral damage in that. R. Kelly though, the music, you can say the same thing. I don't know that we have to have his music versus what we got on TV from the Cosby stuff. I don't know.
During that time. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
VP, what were you gonna
So,
say?
well, I was gonna try to pull a LeVar Ball here and switch gears.
Oh.
But I don't know if you guys are ready. So, should I go ahead?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, shout out to Chris in the chat, man. We appreciate you chiming in before you go. Definitely a pleasure. You made us laugh. We appreciate you interacting with us. Thanks for
Yep.
being the third person to tell VP to to stop waking up and just getting on camera. Because there's two others that told him that. I won't tell you who.
You said
But
the COVID cut.
but yo, like it's been like a month, yo, and Steve, every show we end, he keeps saying, "Next show, I want to talk about polygamy." So we still got some time, yo. So like, I've been waiting.
He's got, we about to, you want to do that now? All right. What you thinking?
Wow.
I mean, I
How,
don't know. I
so
don't know
all
You
right.
what
So
you
thinking
want to talk about.
he was the one that had it in the back of your mind.
so polygamy has been and starting to get talked about a lot on. I follow a lot of um the black Twitter version of Instagram, right? So all the black media outlets on Instagram, I follow those like VP follows all the black Twitter ones. And I've seen a lot of posts about people saying, polygamy is becoming a thing, and a lot of women are saying they're open to it a lot more now than ever before, especially black women for that matter. I think it's important to talk about that. At least they're portraying black women on Instagram. Um, how do you guys feel about it? What do you guys feel about polygamy? Are you a yay or a nay? Um, and if you're a nay, why are you gay? And just tell me, what do you think
Yo.
about polygamy?
I mean,
Hmm.
my standpoint on issues like this. What
I
people
don't.
do in their what people do in their private lives makes me none. You know what I mean? It don't bother me. If you have a group of consenting adults who believe that this is the kind of relationship that can make them happy, then I'm all for it. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with it. I don't understand why it should be illegal. I don't think it's the government's job to say, how many folks can be married to each other or whatever. You know what I mean? Like if this is the lives that these people want to live, then more power to them. You know what I mean? As long as nobody is being abused or if there's children involved, nobody's being neglected and that kind of thing like that, then I say more power to them, because I look at it like, if you think about a family
Stop being a bitch and tell us how you feel and if you would like to take part in a polygamous relationship.
oh,
Oops, I muted him.
myself, I wouldn't practice polygamy myself. You know what I mean? But
Oh,
I don't have a problem with people doing it.
all right.
I
You
don't
could go
see any
back to
difference
you
between
could go
somebody
back to your
doing.
politically correct answer.
No, no, I'm saying.
Appropriate.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, it's not for me, but you know,
EJ.
I'm more interested to see how these things actually pan out in 10 15 years, because they always look phenomenal in the moment. But it's always, if you ever watch the three couple or three people, in the instances when it's like three people, whatever it is, there's one lady and two guys, or one guy, two ladies, someone always looks awkward. Like they always look like they look like they're the person that's like just going along with it, and they don't really believe in it. And today's
Would you
day
be
and
part
age,
of it?
nah, I couldn't do it. I mean, today's day and age, it would probably make sense in a financial standpoint. But I mean, one person having to deal with one personality is enough to deal with two. That's why I'm like, I would love to see how that plays out down the line. Cause it's like, how do you, find balance? And it's just, I don't know. I think societally too, it speaks people just being more sexually deviant these days, and being more open to just say, yeah, I like this, and this is what it is. And it's different than it used to be traditionally, because as a society we accept a lot more things that older generations found to be taboo. So I don't know that this really is about anything more than somebody just having their cake and eating it too all the time. So I would love to see how polygamy pans out for couples 15 to 20 years down the line.
And I also wonder if it's one of those things where, like, is it people who are just practicing polygamy because it seems like it's like the end thing to do is trendy, or is it people who are doing it like who have like actual religious beliefs? Like I know people who are what is it, LDLs? I think is what they're called. That version of the Mormon religion that does the polygamy stuff.
Mhm.
Um,
I
I
thought
can't remember which.
LDL was like, your the fat in your blood. Isn't that what
No,
LDL?
there's like a group within the like the Mormon belief that believes in polygamy. Um,
Okay,
I
there
think
was a
those
show about it, wasn't it? What was it? Big
yeah,
Love, right?
it's called Big Love on HBO. But yeah, so I wonder though to like to what I was basically saying was like how many are there people who are doing this because it's like a deeply religious held belief, or is it people who's like, yo man, I wouldn't mind having two chicks to smash, you know? So I
So,
think
all
that
right,
would play a part in it. And to EJ's point about like down the line, are people truly happy or whatever? You know what I mean? I think the religious aspect of it could play a big part.
I think with polygamy, everybody's mind already goes immediately to sex, right?
Absolutely.
Sex, and somebody wants to fuck multiple women, or a woman. I haven't heard too much of where it's one woman and multiple men, but I'm sure it's out
Oh,
there.
I've seen them.
Uh, but
They got the show now where it's how it was sister wives. Now it's like the reverse of that.
sister hubbies,
Yeah, something I don't know what
hub
they call it,
bros,
but I don't know what they call it, but it's out there.
Eskimo bros.
That's
Listen,
nasty.
man,
Boyfriends.
polygamy, more polygamy would decrease the divorce rate. And let me tell you what I mean. I am not thinking of polygamy from a sexual standpoint at all. Although
That's
I
ridiculous.
know that it is absolutely probably a benefit of it, right? When you talk about your pros and cons to it, on the pro side is it potentially could be the sex thing, but it may not be, right? Especially that's a lot of that's a lot of pressure on a man, right? Like you now have to do that. Like, listen, the fun part of it, the feel of it, you know, the mentality. This just on the surface, it sounds great, but now you have to worry about two of them and making sure they're both satisfied and happy, right?
Mhm.
I was reading a story, and there was a guy that said that he ended up having to get on ED medicine, even though he didn't have ED, because he was constantly having to satisfy two women, right? So when you talk about
There you
the
go.
sex part of it, it sounds great. It's not always as high, but when I say that it could potentially lower divorce rate, right? A lot of times when people are unhappy in relationships, it's not just because of sex. It's not because someone went out and stepped out. It's because you don't have time to continue that bond the way you expected it to be when you first started, right? And I'll put it into perspective, right? You got children. Once you start to have children, the mind state of who one person or both people changes, right? You're now fully a full dependent uh of this child, right? This child depends on you for everything, or both of you for everything. You have to juggle school, you have to juggle everything that comes along with that, right? Having a second individual or third individual join could make that a lot easier. That's that takes a village type of thing a little bit. I know that's not what it means, but think about if you were able to just say, hey, I don't have to worry about trying to find a sitter, I don't have to worry about my in-laws being available, I can take X out and we can go have a great time this weekend, right? I think you both are happy in that state. You can go away on vacations, you can enjoy each other, you can love each other even more without the stresses that come
But it-
along with your time being fully dedicated elsewhere. That's one piece, right? Now you got now you can dedicate tasks, right? A lot of times with women, they feel like men aren't helping with the chores, right? And that's you can fix that. But now if you got a sister wife, she could do some of the other chores. The man can do some of the chores, right? There's just so much benefit to polygamy. Would I do it? I can't say yes or no right now.
He's
I
like,
don't know.
sometimes the
Nigga
men
said he
help with
can't
the
say
chores,
yes
so
or
you got
no
to bring
right
another
now.
woman in.
Yeah, that's all that sounds like. Like, hey, we want to go on vacation. Why don't you let me bang the babysitter? Like it didn't sound like a equal relationship.
I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about. Listen. Even if you take a step outside of it and think about um a
Yeah,
relationship with like a
you
baby mom,
trying?
like a baby mom, EJ.
No, don't. Nope. 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 Speak for yourself, buddy.
Someone who might have a baby mom. I'm sure you have friends who have baby moms, right? And they might be cordial with their baby mom, like more so than just, hey, let's make this work, let's co-parent and make it a great co-parenting experience. They might actually still be good friends. I have someone who's a friend of mine who's a female who is great friends with her baby daddy, right? And
Mhm.
she's great friends with her baby's daddy's new chick.
So,
Why wouldn't they just polygamize? Is that a word? If it's not, it is today.
but
Why wouldn't you just go ahead and
it,
create this
it sounds
polygamy?
like in either one of your scenarios, someone is always going to be the odd person out
But
doing the
why?
work. So, I mean, I don't know. Where does the balance come from? Like a
Because
man not doing the chores,
well,
adding
VP
another
also
woman
talked about
doesn't help.
well, VP also talked about financials, right? So now you
I
could
did.
have,
That was me.
or you, I'm sorry, you could still have, now you potentially have three different incomes. Listen, I'm just saying, if you are good friends with your baby mom or baby dad, and you're good friends with their new current partner, like good friends. I don't mean just like I'm keeping it cool because I don't want to beat her ass, like shit, right? Why not? The dating market is tough for single moms. I know a lot of baddies that are single moms that can't get it right. Like I'm sure they're getting it, but nobody wants to
But
take the
none
responsibility.
of that is solved with polygamy, and none of that
It
just
might
means
be.
none of
Take
that just
sex out of
means
it. Take sex out of it and just
no.
think
But
about
I'm saying
forming a community, a
the reason why
parenting community.
the reason why they might still be single and a baddie is because
They
people might not
crazy.
like them. They don't
All right.
like people
All
don't
right,
like
let me
them.
let me take this question a different way. If if there was a baddie and she wanted to have a polygamous relationship and she wanted two dudes, would you be one of those dudes?
No,
No.
I'm not sword fighting with nobody, and I'm not taking
It
sex out
doesn't
of it.
it doesn't always
Yes,
have to be at the same time.
I,
Y'all got to
that
take
I don't. I just don't. Yeah. I
it
just
don't got to
think
be a
people.
threesome.
I mean, you hear these stories on how they talk about how one
Y'all
moment.
confusing threesome with polygamy. Those are two
No,
different
no,
No,
things.
it's not like it's
I,
not just the sex thing, man. It's it's more to it. Like the financial stuff that EJ talked about is cool. The
Do you
community aspect of it that you talk about is cool. But like to EJ's point, is that people are gonna be at different stages in a relationship. You know what I mean? So like, like when people say, I feel like a relationship with a whole nother individual is not the same like your kids, right? Like me and you, Steve, we have both our kids are only kids, right? But EJ, has three girls. Pretty sure he loves his daughters equally. But if he had two partners, I don't think you can love two people equally. You
That's
know
what I
what
was going to
I'm
ask you.
saying? So,
You don't feel like you can love two people the same.
and again, like to your man with the ED point, okay, yeah, that's sex, but I mean, putting in how much effort does he put in to love this one this way, love that one that way, and then how does she love the other person a certain kind of way?
It's a
Like it seems
contract,
like it's
bro.
always going to be clashing of the
Well,
personalities. That's why I'm interested to see how long these joints actually last and work.
I
right.
would like to get a look into the reality of a true polygamist, like reality show of multiple, not like the sister wives bullshit where you're swapping or whatever like that. Like I'd like to see like a good 3 month of a polygamous relationship where we get to see how that works. Like I think that would be entertaining TV.
I want to see years. I want to see some years because, like I said, you could do that for a year. You know what I mean? Like you could do that for a year. I don't know. I don't know how
But
10 years looks.
if two women sit down, or two men, right, sit down and they say, "Look, Mondays are you. Monday you get EJ. Tuesdays you get EJ. Wednesdays I get EJ, Thursdays you get EJ, Fridays I get EJ, like you do with kids, right? And every other weekend you get the nights out with them. Every other Saturday I get the nights out with them. Like, and we just come together if there's something we want to do. Like, I'm a huge Shakira fan and you're a huge J-Lo fan. If J-Lo comes to town, you just, let me know. We'll sort it out. You don't think that that could happen or work in a polygamous relationship, or vice versa? Two men, hey, 50 Cent's coming to town, or Jay-Z's coming to town. Like, that
See,
night you get
you make it sound like
Alicia.
threesome, but D. Ray Davis has had two girlfriends for some time now,
I
and
know, and I met
they
him.
pretty much do everything together.
Actually, my wife has pictures with his two girlfriends when he came to the to improv. I'm gonna find those and send them to y'all in the chat.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's cool. I mean, like I said at the start, right? Is that like everybody has to be in on it or whatever? Like, because to EJ's point that he made earlier, right? Because sometimes what can happen, like when you look at the show Big Love from HBO that you brought up, right? This is how it happens in the show. It's like the dude is one of these like fundamentalist Mormon guys who comes from a family where they do polygamy, and then he wants to start practicing himself. He's married to one woman. They got two kids, or they got three kids, and he decides I need to be living this way. We need to bring on a second wife or whatever. And the wife agrees to it, but she does it like begrudgingly because it's like, I don't want to tear up my family, blue blue, maybe she thinks it's like a phase or something, I don't know. So they bring on the second wife, and then he wants to bring on a third wife, and then all of a sudden is four people in this marriage, and I think like there's like a total of like 9 kids between them or some shit like that, and the one wife, the original wife, she is like an independent kind of woman who got a job, but in their religion, she's not supposed to work. So the other wives are like, why does she get to always leave the house and go to work? What the fuck? Boo, boo, boo. The second wife is like super fundamentalist. So she's wearing like the weird dresses, covering up her entire body and the crazy hairstyles and shit, and like she's back in the 1940s or whatever the fuck. And then the third wife is like a young chick, who's like in her 20s, while the other ones are like in their 40s and 30s. You know what I mean? And it's like all this like that's how they get the conflict that happens within the show.
But you don't think that could work?
I think
you know what? Let me put it this way. I think it could work, but you'd have to not have social media. Like, social media tells us, not us, but tells humans what happiness is, right? Like, everything people see on these reels and shit. Oh my god, they're on vacation. They're always on vacation. Oh man, that's the life I need. I deserve that. I want that. I need to be on vacation. It's Memorial Day. I need a vacation. The 4th of July is coming. I need a vacation. Labor Day is coming. I gotta go on vacation. You know what? I need a vacation in between. Like, and it's not, that's not reality, right? And that might be reality for some of these rich people, but I think the everyday human is looking at social media, and social media has painted this picture of what a happy relationship is. You see people talk on relationships about what they do in the bedroom, right? This person like to get the ass licked and shit like that, right? And then you see people judging it. What does it matter what happens in your bedroom? What, you know what I'm saying? If you keep that in your bedroom or keep whatever in your house, oh, can you believe that Janine goes home and cleans the house every day, and she wakes up and gets her husband's lunch ready, and she don't got to go to work until 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon? What kind of woman does that? What the fuck does it matter to you?
well,
That's not your household.
we know that's how humans are, and unfortunately, a lot of people can't do that. They feel like they need people to look into their lives, and especially when it's 3 of them. I mean, and what
Or
happens?
4 or 5. Give me.
Yeah, what happens when one of them, that's all they want to do and post. I mean, they're out there. You could look it up. They're out there. They post their stuff and they talk about it. I just really would need to see how it works after some years, because
They should do field trips. You should be able to take a vacation to a polygamous resort and just like observe polygamists for a week. Like, you take a 7-day vacation, you get to observe their lifestyle for a week. That would be kind of dope just to see it. Like, I don't know. I don't know that I would want to or not want to. Like, I haven't really given it that much thought. I've more thought about like, I've never put myself in the shoes, but I've more thought about the outside looking at other people's relationships and being like, If these motherfuckers was polygamous, they'd just be fine.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I do
And
not know.
I don't know. But I'm trying to remove the sex part from it, right? Because
You
there's always
can't.
going to be
That's one of the major aspects of relationships, let alone a relationship with 3 or more people. Like, no,
well,
it
when
has
I
to be.
say that, I don't mean the not having it or the impact that it can have on it. I'm removing it as the main reason for somebody doing it, right? A lot of people, when you say polygamy, just say polygamy to somebody who's not a your normal everyday person that's an open thinker. And the first thing they're gonna go to is shit. I would love to fuck 2 bitches every night.
Because that's
You know what I'm
the
saying?
first human nature thought.
Not for me.
Absolutely.
Not for me.
Lies.
Maybe
Cap.
10 years ago. Maybe 10
Cap.
years, or maybe we'll call it 6 years. Maybe 6 years ago, yes.
Cap.
But in this last 5 years, I could see how we could use 2 more hands. It would never be 2 more men hands, but I could see where we could.
Why not? Why not?
Why
It's
not?
not
Yes.
about the sex.
All
Why
right,
not?
maybe it's just a nanny. Maybe just, maybe people just,
Yeah, just get you a nanny that don't mind coming in late some days. That's all. That's what it sounds like.
I like
That's
I
what it
said,
sounds like.
I removed the sex aspect from it, but
You
I get it.
tried.
I know that it's important. I know that it's an important piece. I just don't. I don't think you should even have to talk about that if you're having that conversation with somebody and saying, "Hey, look, what do you think of having a polygamous relationship?" I don't think like we know there's the bonus, especially for men at least. We know there's a bonus to that. Like it's amazing. It would be amazing and not have to worry about, being accused of cheating or whatever. Like every man would take that opportunity. Every man would go out and sleep with another woman if he could and it wasn't cheating. Like the reason we don't do it is because it's cheating and we love our significant other and we don't want to hurt them more than anything, right? We want to keep the loyalty to them. Like that's what good men are, right? There's some scumbags out there. Obviously it happens, but you know, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a good dude. Maybe I should just find a way to be a scumbag and I would start to think like everybody else.
Like I said, man, just find you a nanny with extracurricular activities.
No, you know what I do? I just look at my VP algorithm and I'm good. Like I don't need nothing else. I get to see how bad Republicans are and how good titties are. Like that is, and I don't follow none of them. All
Damn,
right.
just throwing them under the bus.
I
Right.
see. I see y'all. All right. I see y'all don't want to talk about polygamy. All right. Whatever. Have that
No,
conversation. Have that conversation about your. Matter of fact, you should talk to your wife about it, VP. Don't
We
ask her
have talked about it.
nigga,
about doing it.
you trying to have him end up missing?
We
I'm
have
gonna.
talked about it. We both used to watch the Big Love show, so we talk about it all the time whenever we watch the show.
Oh
EJ, that
man,
would be a good conversation for you. Y'all ain't even like married yet.
I'm good, brother. I listen, listen. Like I said, you said take the sex part out of it. I don't see how motherfuckers putting up with that. I just don't. I don't see it. I can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. Good.
That's that Walt Frazier action right there. Every night. All right, man. Y'all don't want to have no fun.
You the one trying to remove the best part of it. Trying front.
Listen, man.
four,
There's more to
four
life than
sets of titties is
sex.
better than one. 2 sets.
Get you a little Martian that got 4 titties, you'd be fine.
Oh man.
You ain't gotta worry about it. All right, man. Well, I don't know what else we have on the docket. Let me check my little list here. I think we hit everything that I had to talk about on my notepad. Did we miss another rest in peace? I feel like we missed another rest in peace, but if so, we'll get it next week.
No.
Rest in peace to all of those that lost. Mazzola's not a coach. Tatum, ISO. Yeah. Okay. I'm good, man. Y'all got anything else?
Nope. 2 hours. Trying to enjoy the rest of Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, shout out to the fallen soldiers, man. With that, I will hand it over to VP to do his best to get us up out of here.
We appreciate everybody who joined us live this week, listening to this week's episode of the Castworthy Podcast. Special shout out to my man Chris, who was interacting with us throughout the broadcast. We definitely appreciate you taking the time, man, and glad that you're back. For those who listen once the episode posts, we appreciate you taking that time as well. Like Steve said earlier, you can find the podcast on all podcasting platforms by searching at Castworthy. You can also follow us on any of our social media by searching at Castworthy. On Instagram, it's at Castworthy_podcast. As always, make that phone call, send that text message, reach out to somebody, let them know you're thinking about them. And, if you know somebody who got a family member, lost somebody in the line of duty, maybe send them a text message or give them a phone call or something like that. They could be dealing with some special things this time of year. So it wouldn't hurt to reach out to those folks as well. Whatever it is that you're going to be doing to celebrate your Memorial Day weekend, be safe, recharge your batteries, and go into next week ready to go. With that being said, man, we definitely appreciate you guys for rocking with us, and we will see you on next week's episode of the Castworthy Podcast. We're out. We love you. Peace.